Alright, hello everybody watching. Um, so we'll get to the tutorial in a second. I just want to show you the end result after a little bit of tweaking. I'll include the blend file in the description, but this is it. You'll be making something similar to this by the end of the tutorial. Anyway, yeah, I showed you how to make two different atmospheres. This is with atmosphere 1. This is a volume scattering based atmosphere, and the second one is an emission based atmosphere. So that is that. I'll see you on the other side. Alright, hello. So this is going to be about creating planets in Blender. It should be a relatively intermediate tutorial, so absolute beginners may not leave this being satisfied. So sorry about that. But hopefully most of you can grab something interesting out of it. Anyway, let's get started. Alright, so I've set up this quick scene here. I haven't really done anything, but I have a procedural background, camera setup, stuff, just basic stuff. I'll link a lot of this stuff, including some textures I made. Not really made, but like edited. In the video description, in a Google Drive file probably. But anyway, without further ado, let's get started. So the first mistake people make is that they use a UV sphere, but what you really want to do is you want to subdivide a cube, bunch, and then make it spherical. So that's Shift-Alt-S. So obviously the first thing you want to do, you want to make the ground material. So let's go in here, rename this ground. Now let's add our textures. So here, let me find it. Oh boy, where is it? Alright, it's all wonky. Oh, just got rid of my screencast. Oh. Alright, so yeah, the UVs are messed up for this, but instead change this from UV to generated here in your texture coordinate, and I'm using the Node Wrangler add-on. Wrangler add-on. So yeah, I can just do Control T to get a texture set up. But here you want to set this to sphere. That should work just fine. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I have a better texture. Yeah. I'll find it later. This will work just fine. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to duplicate just the texture. And then you want to grab a night map. So let's see. Night lights. So there we go. This is a very high res one that I made from some NASA images. You might want to use a lower res version if your PC isn't that powerful. Looks like it's doing good. So plug that into the emission. You can fiddle around with the emission strength. But that's that. Now, I'm using some earth textures right now for this one, and later I'll show you how to just make a general planet. Doesn't have to be earth. But yeah, we'll start with earth for simplicity's sake. Also, unless you want to subdivide this even more, which I mean, you can, especially if you want to add some micro displacement. You should set the shading to smooth. Alright, so in our night lights, in our night side, we have a problem here, and that is the land and the sea. You can still see them; they aren't black. So what you might want to do is add a let's see, go to color, bright contrast, turn up the contrast a bit. Right, about 0.2 should get rid of most of the land. It gets a little bit saturated and fiddly around the edges there, but shouldn't be too noticeable. Alright, this round's rather simple. One more thing. Well, there's a few more things if you want this to look really good. So you're going to duplicate that. Let's see. I'm going to try and find my, there we go, Earth topography. Here, let's go down there and grab the Earth color. This is probably a better one. Yeah, that's a lot better. Oh boy. Nope, never mind, never mind. Oh boy, I may have just screwed things up. Let's see. Maybe not. Maybe it's good. Who knows? So, vector, displacement, height. Yep, that matches up quite well. Yep. Obviously, scale, put it quite a bit down. Remember, mountains are quite small. That's a bit much, but I'll leave it there so that everybody can see it. Next, what you want to do, want to control, like, land shouldn't be this shiny. So let's make a roughness map. So what you can do is you can take the topography, and since sea level is always the lowest point, well, almost always, but it's good enough. Take converter, color ramp, and select only the sea. Oh. Let's just do greater than 0. So converter, math, greater than 0. That looks pretty good. Let's plug this into roughness. Let's first set a color ramp. So remember, C is still a bit rough. Right, that's a lot better. Now it's also uses to control some of the metallic. So C is a bit metallic. So obviously land is not that metallic. Put that in there. Let's control this. Yeah, that should work. Looks a bit weird without an atmosphere there. Now, so here I've pulled up a reference image. You can find a bunch of these. This one, just search this. Found a good one. So we see that this is a sea. we also see that it's not uniform in its roughness. This is interesting, right? Meanwhile, ours is very uniform. So let's do a few things here. One, let's, here, I'm going to use this to say add. I'm going to check clamp there. I'm sorry if I'm rambling a bit. I tend to not be very good with words when I'm focusing. Hopefully everything comes out decent in the end. Oh, come on. Let's add noise texture. Let's preview this. This isn't really the noise that we want, so let's do a little trick here. Let's mess with the UVs. I'm actually going to plug this into the object. Color, mix RGB. Yeah, I'm fearful my computer's going to crash. Last time I tried screen capturing here, it crashed, which was very unfortunate. That should be enough. Let's multiply it. Alright, let's make this a bit high frequency. A bit more high frequency. 25. Turn this down. Yeah, that looks good. And let's multiply this. I'm going to switch this to mix RGB. There we go. Let's check this now. It's going to look horrendous, don't worry. Just turn it down, very subtle. Like 0.07. Right, see, it's a bit hard to see here, but that's a bit more what we wanted. Right? Let's check our reference photo again. I think that looks pretty good. Maybe 0.015. Oh no, 0.15. Well, that's starting to get a little bit much. Let's turn this down. Maybe 15. Yeah, that looks good. Yep. There we go. I used to have a key binding for setting view to cursor, but the screencast keys has interfered with it, so it's getting annoying. Alright, let's keep going. So we got this. It looks decent. It's not planet though. So let's add some clouds in the atmosphere. So let's start with the atmosphere. So we are going to use a volume scatter node. That is the most physically accurate way to render an atmosphere in Blender. Oh, we got some glitchiness here. Yeah, that's good. It probably won't be that noticeable. Oof. Alright, let's do this. So let's Shift D, scale it up a bit, create a new material for this, call it Atmo or atmosphere. We'll get to the clouds a bit later. So, alright, let's start. So, shader, volume scatter. Not surface. Surface. Alright, so that's what's happening here. So, it isn't looking that good. And that is for a multitude of reasons. Let's increase the light strength here, like 50. Remember, the sun's quite bright. Alright, that looks about good. So, let's start messing with this. So, what you're going to want to do, set to blue color. And then we are going to add a texture coordinate and a texture, gradient texture, spherical. Actually, you know what? Let's do something different here. Let's grab converter, vector math, plug the object into there, and do length. That'll do the exact same thing. Now converter math, multiply 0.5, and then color ramp. So let's crush these in a bit. Alright, there you go. That's about decent. Multiply, just set it to some ridiculous value. Set to constant. Alright, good. So that is working. Let's see how far we can push this back. Aha, there we go, that's better. Set to like 150 or something. Push it back to, actually push it to ease. And then do converter, math, power, set it to 3 or so. Right? In reality, this is more of an exponential. It gets exponentially thinner, but this will be good enough. So plug this into density and plug this into volume. Now you're going to see the power of the volume scatter shader. It's going to relatively physically accurately simulate the Rayleigh scattering effect here. You'll see more of the like the sunrise tones. So let's go into volumes, and we're going to do set the step rate render to like 0.02 or something. That's the downside. It's a bit computationally inefficient. And adjust this until you think it's good. You probably don't need. Yeah. 25 is probably good. So give this a quick render. Quick tip: set your tile size under the performance tab in your render setting or scene tab to 256 if you're rendering on your GPU, which you should be if you have a GPU. This requires a relatively beefy GPU. Unfortunately, I'll show you a method how to do this later on that's less demanding, but doesn't get the same results. Anyway, let's do this. So let's make sure set to like 32. This is a test render. So set to low sample count and under denoising, check the render box and set it to open image denoise. That open image denoise is like the only one that works for atmospheres, for volumes and stuff. Optics isn't that great for it, unfortunately. Although I guess it's doing a decent job. Let's compare it. Yeah, it's a lot better. It's slower though, very slow. But it shouldn't add more than 10 to 15 seconds to your render. So I'll give this a quick render. If it's going too slowly, I'll stop it and just add something in there. Oh, that's going quickly. Alright, make sure you adjust the color of your atmosphere until it gets something that looks more Earth-like. Right, Earth has a very blue atmosphere. Mine is like very light blue. This is darker. So let's change that. So let's go here, change it to more blue shade. I'm also going to turn this up a bit. Yeah, 50. That should be good. Don't make it too saturated. Let's try it again. Yeah, it looks decent. That edge right there looks a bit weird. Oh, Blender has decided to do that. Oof. Alright, let's see. Yep, that's a lot better. Alright. Okay, let's go into ground. Let's add back our night lights. Let's see how that is looking. Here, I'm going to adjust a few settings in the atmosphere. It's just a lot of tweaking to get it right. Sometimes I like to stylize a bit. Yeah, a bit. I'm not very verbally gifted, if that isn't already apparent. So let's see. Yeah, it looks good. Let's do... Oh. Yeah, this is a NASA photo. Oh. This is the importance of having good reference photos. a lot of them look really awesome. So let's see, yeah, a little bit less saturated. So let's change that. Add a converter, or not converter, color hue saturation node. Change saturation down a bit. Yeah, I'm pretty. The other one may have been a 3D rendering. It looked like it had that. This one though is a real photo. I'm quite convinced. Yeah, this looks good. Here, set to open 9. Let's try this. Atmosphere needs a bit more density. Yeah, why is it making that grid-like thing? That's super frustrating. Oh boy. Should be enough. Yeah, that's probably good. Yeah, it can only get so good. Alright. So, that's an atmosphere. It looks pretty decent. Has that sunrise section that looks okay. I'm going to add a new camera. Set that to be the active one. Let's see if we can set that up so we get a similar shot as we had in our first reference photo. Yep. And that looks pretty good, doesn't it? It's not this quality, right? The real Earth is stunning. But it looks pretty good. Helps if you have high-res textures. Alright, now, as I'm sure all of you have noticed, we are missing a crucial element, and that's the clouds. So there are a few methods you can use for doing this. This is so frustrating. Okay. Let's duplicate this again. Scale it up a bit. Clouds. So there are a few ways of doing it. I'm going to show you 2 of them. One of them is computationally efficient but doesn't look as good, and the other one is quite nice. So I'm not sure why I deleted that principled shader. Alright, so add a principled BSDF here. Control T. Add a clouds texture. Clouds. Where are my clouds? Use generated coordinates, sphere. Yeah, that's decent. Plug this into the alpha as well. No specular, a lot of roughness. I mean, boom, clouds, alright? Not bad. There are a few things you can do to get it loads better. So first of all, look at how low res this is. Let's change that. So let's add a texture, noise texture, object coordinates, color, mix RGB, plug color into there, first socket, and then subtract. Just leave the other color as default. The default one should be about, I set to 0.5. That should work anyways. Change scale up like 250 or something crazy. Detail maybe 4 or 5. And then color, mix RGB. By the way, it's important to use the color output of the noise. Mix, set this to multiply, change factor to 1. Input value, set this to like 0.01 or something. Then plug this into the location input. Boom, you have that. Doesn't look very good. Alright, you're gonna have to change it a bit. 0.01 is too strong. Yeah, and it isn't a perfect match, but you can cheat a little bit, get away with it, which is nice. So this is the first method. This will give you decent clouds. Oh, one other thing. Change the transmission up a bit, not 1. That means that you can sort of, you get some translucency there, right? Yeah. So, yeah, you get a little bit illuminated. You get clouds that are a bit illuminated by the light, the lights. If you want a better version of this, you may not want to use transmission, but instead add shader and add a oh boy, you're going to want to use a translucent shader and plug the color of this into there. This will work sort of well. Yeah. So you get a little bit of illumination action there. You may actually want to, oh, nah. Yeah, so this is a little bit weird, but atmosphere should fix that. Also, the clouds are usually quite low. So change that, set that to be a lot lower. Like it should like be basically touching the ground. Not too low, just low enough to see. And also vector displacement, plug this into the height. There you go. Change it down to like a 101 or something. Don't want too bumpy of clouds. Alright, so that's the first method. Clouds look decent, alright? But they don't look excellent. So, what do you do to improve them? There are a few routes from here. You can either use some subsurface, which is what I like to do, or you could go full volumetric. I'm not going to talk about that too much here, but you can do it. So, let's talk about subsurface. Make sure you set the subsurface radius to like all be 1. set the subsurface to like 0.0025. I like that value. Now what you're also going to want to do is you're going to want to use some micro displacement, so make sure your feature set is set to experimental. Displacement, your mid-level set to 0. And then under materials, you go to settings, displacement and bump. In your subdivision modifier, you may want to check adaptive subdiv, but it may take a while to recalculate the subdivision level and stuff. So you may just want to use a constant subdivision level set to quite high. And that's a bit much on the clouds. It's a little bit much. For the subsurface to be like a lot lower. Oh boy, this is going to take forever. Oh, never mind. Nope, never mind, that was good. So set the displacement to be like 0.001. This will help a lot for more close-up renders. What's going on here? Why is it behaving weirdly? Maybe it's just the denoiser that was acting weird. Yeah, that looks better. You can fiddle around with this for days. Really. This looks, I think it looks rather decent. Just specular down. Or at least, no, don't set the specular all the way down. On the ground. On the ground, just clarifying, on the ground. Yeah, that's better. Land was way too shiny. Alright, let's do another render. Let's move this a little bit. Let's reposition our camera. There we go. Stats. What if I did that? Alright. Let's try this. This may look good, may look bad. Who knows? Yeah, it looks quite good, I think. Let's turn up cloud's displacement a bit. You're also going to want to render this at much higher samples. Remember, this is just a test render. Let's be wacky. You're in set to 0.01. That's going to be crazy. Ooh, that looks a lot better. Oh, damn. Keep in mind this is more stylized than realistic, because look at this reference photo. Look at how close we are. There's like very minimal curvature at all. So this isn't fully realistic, but there are things you can do to get it more realistic. But I think it looks decent. Now, of course, the test will be what happens when we have a lot more samples. So you may want to set the subsurface scattering a bit higher. Yeah, I think that looks good. I'll render a better one later. Let's render from the other camera. Let's see what this one looks like. This should be a quicker render. Sorry for taking up so much time on the renders. I know it's not exactly the most interesting process to watch. I should have set it into a different render slot. Oops. So what you can do for close-up renders, and I won't show this, but simply for time's sake, but instead of just using one high-res texture here, you can use a texture and just tile it over the entire thing a lot, and it'll look quite decent because you aren't seeing the entire. You're actually, you know what, I'll just show it. I can't explain stuff. You can see that the nice night lights are illuminating it a bit, which is nice, illuminating the atmosphere, clouds. So in your clouds layer, what you can do if you want really good close-up shots is you can take a texture. Let's just set this to generated, and then instead of sphere, set it to box mapping and add a little bit blend. Let's see. Nope. Oh boy. Here, let me. Where is it? Oh boy. Get to look through all my renders. Huh. And textures and stuff. There it is. Storms. Aha. There we go. So it's this one. Awesome. Aha. Perfection. Don't tile it too much. And set it to be multiply. Set it to multiply with this. Not for the displacement, for this. Yeah, it looks a lot better, doesn't it? Set it for displacement, set it to multiply, but instead of having it a math node using mix RGB, turn the strength down a bit. And then you're going to want to factor down a bit. That's probably good. I think that looks pretty good. I won't bore you guys with another render, so I'll just show this later. Oh, to plug this into alpha as well. That color ramp just to make the clouds a bit more pronounced. Yeah, it's a lot better. Boom. I think that looks decent. Alright. So there are a few ways to create clouds and stuff. Now I promised to show you guys the other way to create atmospheres that was a bit more computationally efficient. So I'm going to call this atmos scatter. I'm going to duplicate it. So I'm going to Alright, so this is unfortunately a lot. This requires a bit more nodes. I'll leave it at that. So change this volume scatter to an emission shader. Let's go into rendered so we can see it. Just leave all of this stuff. Alright, so we're going to need to do a few things here. So add another multiply. You're going to need a bit more strength here, so maybe 100. And then add a vector normal. Plug this into the normal of the texture coordinate. And you're going to want dot. Here, let's make sure I did something. Yeah, there we go. And then converter color amp. Yeah, it's going to have, so it spits out negative values here. So this will just clamp it between 0 and 1, which is nice. Go into 1, just the orthographic view. Let's see, where is our sun pointing? Alright, there we go. May take a little bit of fiddling. That's good enough. It's gonna take a little bit of fiddling to get it right, but I think that might work. What's going on here? Why is this happening? This must be something, a glitch with 2.93 or something. I'm using an alpha version, so it's probably to be expected. Aha, it is. Alright, here, don't worry about it. I can get this. So let's add input, converter, combine RGB. Alright, and then we can do, yeah, so maybe vector math is messed up for this. So let's just do math. Don't ask me why I'm doing this. I have weird pet peeves. So add all the inputs together, like so. And then converter, math, power, set this to 2, and just put that there. Alright, that's a dot product. So there we go. No, what am I doing? That's not what I wanted to do. That is not what I wanted to do. Sorry, I'm getting confused. No, I just said something wrong again. I'm not getting confused. My brain's being weird here. Here's what we need to do. Oh, no. That's it. I might have solved it. Haha. Oh boy. Sorry, this has turned into a disaster. Aha. We got it, boys. Yeah, I didn't need the normal, I needed the object. That's a lot better. The reason why is, well, it's mathiness. Duplicate this, just normalize it. No, oh, there we go. You're going to want to add a little bit, not 0.5, like 0.1 or 0.2. Yeah, you'll notice this isn't a perfect match here. It's a bit lopsided. You guys, I'm sorry, this has been quite a disaster so far, hasn't it? Let's keep persevering through this though. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to add, well, you're going to want to control this value here. So I'm going to add texture, not texture, color, mix RGB. So the first value to be that, second to be, actually no, we don't want that. We want converter color ramp. Nope. Alright. Okay. This. Set the first value to be this, second to be an orangish color, more yellowish actually. Middle, be green. Let's see if any of this works. Okay, yeah, it's going to be the best. Yep. we're going to plug this in there. There we go. Let's duplicate this and let's push that a bit so we have more control. Yeah, that looks good enough. And then we're going to add a mix RGB. Oh, no. What am I doing? Mix. There. Yeah, it doesn't look so good. Here, let's mess with this a bit. Yep, that looks better. Yeah, it looks decently similar. It isn't the same, of course, but it's a lot more efficient. Let's see, what else do we need? Oh, yeah. So the unfortunate thing here is, look, we don't get any of that beautiful, like the light rays don't literally shift their frequency, so you're still getting white light there, and that shouldn't be happening. So there are a few things you can do about that. I think the most simple would be just within the, and this is one I'm going to show, just within the atmosphere shader itself, is you just add a volume absorption node. So shader, add shader, volume absorption. And volume absorption is just as fast as volume emission. Plug this into the density. Yep. Make sure you multiply it by something as well. Set the color to be, yeah, like that. And boom, atmosphere. I think it looks decent. Set this a little bit lower. Yeah, that's okay. It's not half bad. So I'm going to render out two images. One will be with the emission atmosphere, and one will be with the scattering atmosphere. So let's see. So we have, let's start with this scatter. And I'll just use same sample count for both of them. Here, let's see what time. Damn, it's almost an hour. Yeah, and we still got rings and stuff to do. Yeah. So I'm going to show you next how to add some planetary rings. And I think I'll finish up by showing you how to make some different planets than Earth. So, who knows, maybe in maybe a half hour more. We'll see. Alright, now let's move to slot 2. Let's use Atmo emission. There's something weird happening there. Not sure what's happening. That doesn't look too great. Alright, so that's the difference. I have slightly different looks. You may want to increase the emission strength on the emission one. So let's do that. It renders quite quickly anyways. Then again, you don't want it too blown out. You want, yeah, 50 looks good. Yeah, so this is an approximation. I think it's a pretty decent one. Alright. So, let's now talk about rings. Okay, so rings are quite fun. Again, there's a stylized and non-stylized approach. So I can show you. Yeah, I'll just show you the more realistic version. And this one's quite easy. I think you guys should be able to figure it out completely by yourself. It's not that hard. New rings. So let's do this. So I say so input texture coordinate, same sort of deal as what we did earlier. Further vector math, length, and then for color ramp, plug this, yeah. Texture, noise texture. You may want to increase the detail a bit and roughness. inverter math multiply. There, rings. Let's add another one of these guys in there. Let's also set this to be the alpha again. Let's put that in there. Alright, quick rings. These don't look especially great, so turn the specular down. Yeah, so these are very quick rings. Yeah. I mean, they sort of look good, and I am not going to complain too much about them. Let's see, what else? So one thing you can do is you can make them volumetric, although I don't think that that's exactly as realistic. Next thing, if you want some cool stylized rings, I will link a blend file in the description that has some cool stuff. So there are a few different types. Let's see, planets, have it somewhere in here. I made some volumetric rings. Not really rings, but like volumetric gas circling the planet. That's probably it. Yeah. Takes a little while to render out though, so I wouldn't recommend using this if you don't have a beefy GPU. But it has some volume scattering and some darker spots as well. Next thing, I'm going to move this into the collection. You can add so black holes have an interesting accretion disk, and I found that looks quite good around a planet. Quite interesting. So let's do that. Let's see. Do we have, yeah. Yeah, I made this for a black hole. Anyway, that looks cool around a lava planet, although it looks a bit sketchy here, admittedly. At this point, I'm kind of messing around here. Let's see. I know I had something else. I'm just trying to remember what it was. Oh boy. Oh yeah. Oh no, never mind. No, I think I got everything. All right. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope this helped in some way. I'm sorry, I'm just starting out with this, so it's going a bit chaotic the first time. Anyway, have a good one, and I'll see you later.